Oddimus Prime here with my amazing co-host, Primetime Moff.
Hello, everyone.
Today we thought we'd have a quick little mini discussion between the two of us about Transformers 1. Now, the trailer dropped earlier today after a very exciting, if you watched it, hour-long journey of a balloon going into space, which, I had it on a second screen at work. It was a little bit, it's quite nice, a little bit soothing, nice little thing to distract myself. Followed by the premiere of the trailer, which definitely was played on a screen on a balloon in space and wasn't just edited onto there using computer trickery. So the trailer dropped, and well, it was 2 minutes of brand new Transformers cartoon. What were your initial thoughts, Mr. Moff?
I was excited watching it. My initial thoughts were, "Thank God this is finally on." Actually, to be fair, after 56 minutes of watching a balloon rise, but no. When it actually started up, um, I went in with a very much I have no preconceptions for this. All new media is good media in terms of growing the brand. I was saying to Greg earlier on, there's people who lambast the Michael Bay films. The franchise and the toy line would not be in the position it's in now if it wasn't for those films. So as much as you
100%.
might not like them, if you're a fan of the franchise and you want the franchise to do well, which surely we all do if we want new toys, we should be kind of looking going, let's go in with hope for it to be strong. Yes, we would love, everybody's got their own perfect idea of what they'd love. I would love a new version of the original, show. I'd love them to continue on. I said before, actually, I'd love them to take the Japanese stuff and give it English dubs. I think that's actually what I would love.
Hmm.
We're not going to get any of that.
No.
So we have to go in knowing that this is to sell to younger kids. So I went in with, I want to take my two kids to see it. My kids are 11 and 6. This is the kind of film I want to take them to see it. I took them to see the Spider-Man film last year, and it was a great experience. I took them to see Mario, great experience. I want that experience. So that was the only thing I was thinking I want out of this. And I certainly had that feeling by the end of it. I thought it was fun.
100%,
I thought
100%.
it was fast paced, and I know we'll talk in detail about some of the aspects of
Hmm.
it. And there are bits that straight away I was like, oh, that doesn't work for me. But it's a trailer. Like we need to wait to see what it's like. It's the same as when Master the He-Man cartoon came out on Netflix and part one came out, and everybody complained about there wasn't enough He-Man. But it was part one. You need to see the full bit and make a decision on, actually, let's review the whole thing
Hmm.
and then make a decision. So just now, you saw a teaser, and the whole purpose of the teaser is to try and get people excited. So let's just focus on the positives and wait and see what we got.
Yeah, 100%. I completely agree with you. I think there's a lot of people have a lot of preconceptions about what something's going to be before it airs. And knowing that there was an animated Transformers movie set on Cybertron with no human involvement, set as a prequel with Orion Pax and D16 becoming Optimus Prime and Megatron, the fans want things to be a certain way. So a lot of people were expecting this to be an expansion upon the beginning of the Bumblebee movie, with the film looking like that. This is not what this was ever going to be. And that would be amazing. I would love that. You would love that, and lots of other fans would love that. But it hasn't got the mass appeal that is necessary to make something like this work. Now, as you said about wanting to take your kids to see it, I've got a 9-year-old nephew who's not a massive Transformers fan by any stretch of the imagination, but I think he would absolutely love this. So I'm quite looking forward to being able to take him to go and see it. Um, but yeah, so I think fundamentally, as you said, there's lots of different branches of Transformers. There's lots of things that have been going on, but fundamentally, Transformers, the franchise we know and love, the storyline, the shows, the comics, the films, everything was all effectively a marketing ploy from Hasbro to sell a bunch of toys, which we bought.
100%.
And then we got into all the other stuff around it because it was awesome and it appealed to
Yeah,
us and it had really, really great, passionate people doing really, really great stories and creating this mythology and this thing that we love. But that wasn't everybody's entry point. People who are younger than ourselves got into it at Beast Wars or the Unicron trilogy or the Bayverse movies or Cybertron or Cyberverse rather, or even Earthspark. So it's a constantly evolving franchise, and this iteration, this new film, is obviously going to be aimed at trying to get as much of a new audience in as possible so that the Transformers brand can continue to
yeah,
grow in the way that it does. We're not going to get any other decent films or any of the stuff that we want if we don't have avenues like this creating revenue for the film companies and
100%.
Hasbro.
100%.
So yeah, that's sort of initial thoughts on perhaps it not being what I would want from it. But at the same time, it's exactly what it needs to be. It needs to have that appeal. It needs to have. So you've got. It's almost like a three-pronged attack with this film. You've got stuff that will appeal to Transformers fans, obviously,
Mhm.
which we'll talk a bit more about in a minute. You've got kid appeal. You've got stuff in there that kids are going to go, that's awesome, or that's funny. It's something that it does look like a really decent kids movie. Um, and the third prong is I've forgotten what the third prong was going to be, but there was a third prong, which I will come back to in a minute. Damn, that's really annoying. Anyway, carry on. Where are we going with that?
So let's focus on the one of the interesting bits about being a kid movie. So one
I remembered
change
it.
that we are getting from the Americans is we are not getting it in September. We're getting it in October, which if you had a parent, you understand why you're getting it in October.
Yeah,
Coming for October holidays because that's a point during October holidays when the kids, especially in UK, when it will be miserable weather, and the kids go, "What can we do today?" Oh, let's go and see the Transformers movie in the cinema. I'll be honest, that will likely what I'll do. I'll take them during the October week and take them for the cinema. So financially, that always makes sense to me. When it was first announced it was changing in October, I was like, "Well, I get that," and I don't really, it's not really bother me. It's the same as films in the summer. The summer school holidays are different here to
yeah,
England or to America, so we have to be understanding of that. But one wonderful bit of our franchise. So I've been going to Transformers conventions for many years. When I first went to Auto Assembly, it was people like you and I, Simon. That was all it was there. It was really heavily felt like G1ers. What didn't really have a lot of the kind of younger kind of. I wouldn't even say there was people in their teens at that point. There was maybe people in their late 20s, but it was heavily. Oh, was I in my late 20s? No, I wasn't. I was in my 30s. Heavily that kind of bracket. Now you go, and there is absolutely a fan base of people from newer stuff, and it just shows you that actually there is certainly growing parts of this fan base that are based on, as you said, having grown up in other lines other than G1. So this is as close as we're going to get to a G1 film, in my opinion. Like,
Hmm,
they all have a G1 influence. Let's be honest, all the movies have a G1 influence. But a true G1 film is never really going to be a true G1 film. But
no.
this is a really interesting way to go. We're actually almost kick-starting the whole franchise by going back to the very beginning, giving a brand new origin. It then also doesn't need to tie in with anything.
No.
You know, it can retcon stuff. I like things like D16. I wasn't even smart enough to think why it was D16 originally. I was thinking it was from I think it was a War from Cybertron games, but I was watching Toys R Us stream talking about it, and there was the realization that, well, that's the box, the Japanese box is Destron 16. Like, genius. Like, I didn't realize that at the time with War for Cybertron, but there is clearly nods to fans. So you have to have faith that this has been created by fans. You know, the I'm sure the writer has won an Oscar for writing a film and directing a film, but I can't remember what the films are, both animated films, I'm sure. I'm sure he was one of the writers for Inside Out, is that right? And then directed, oh, I can't remember. I read it earlier. I read it before the trailer dropped. So you have to have confidence that there's pedigree behind this.
Yeah.
You know, they've got a stellar cast of big names.
Which
They
is the other
wouldn't
thing I was
invest
going to
that
mention.
cast. They wouldn't invest that cast if they didn't think we're going to make money off this. So let's have faith. Let's enjoy. In the year of the 40th anniversary, we've got a fresh start for maybe another 40 years worth of franchise.
Yeah, 100%. And that was actually my third prong, was the cast, because that's the other element that makes mass appeal. So you're appeasing the fans by having a Transformers thing with lots of nods to the things that you know and love, the kid appeal obviously, but then there's the higher appeal for other people, the demographic that doesn't fall into those two slots is a cast that people know about. So you've got your Chris Hemsworth, you've got your Scarlett Johansson, you've got John Hamm's in there, you've got Lawrence Fishburne, got Steve Buscemi, you've got the other people who are in the cast. Brian, what's his name? Anyway, him, the guy who's playing Megatron, and Keegan-Michael Key is Bumblebee, obviously. So they're not voices that you'd normally associate with those characters by any stretch of the imagination. They're all very completely different voice choices. I was surprised how much I liked Chris Hemsworth voices Orion Pax.
I agree.
And when there was a couple of bits in the trailer where he sounded very Peter Cullen, he'd put that sort of timbre into his voice, and they'd had a little bit of the voice modulation on there to make him sound a little bit more Cullen-y, which I really liked. Yeah, so that's the other element that's going to give it sort of mass appeal, and we want this film to make money. There's going to be, and I've already seen comments on Facebook and other places, there will be people who are going to be complaining bitterly about all sorts of aspects of this. It's too kiddie, the humor's too stupid, the voice acting sounds daft, blah blah blah. It's not going to appeal to everybody. It's not going to appeal to fans who have expectations of it being something else. But at the end of the day, if it's a good film, if it's enjoyable and it ticks some of those boxes, and it makes money, which is what we really would like it to do, then I don't see any of that being a problem. Right, shall we have a talk about some of the content of the actual trailer? What is actually in it? So, yeah, so it's sort of the Orion and D16 are miners, I believe.
Workers,
And
miners, yeah.
yeah, they may be on some. It starts off they're in some sort of trouble. I don't know whether that what leads to them being miners or
Yeah.
who knows, who knows. And they end up meeting Bumblebee, and Elita One sort of appears partway through. I wonder if she'll be Ariel rather than
We're not
Elita
watching
One.
The Little Mermaid.
Same. Foolish. But yeah, so
Yeah.
and in a way that is potentially upsetting to long-standing fans, they appear to be on a quest to earn their ability to transform, which I don't think's been part of the lore at any point.
No,
It's not
that,
something
that,
I
that was that
remember.
was kind of new to me. But I think that's the interesting bit. Is it like, are they, and we don't have the answer to this. This always just taking small bits of snippets from this and going, what could it be? But is it a case of that they only get the ability to transform once they're deemed worthy, and that's what it kind of felt like? And that'll be an interesting bit to see what makes them worthy, and when you're seeing them all becoming worthy at the same time.
Yeah.
And then obviously we know what's going to happen with D16. We know what kind of way where he's going to go. And I think I expect that the voices will change through the film. I think
Mm.
there'll be a gravitas to the voices because I think we'll see a bit of the Megatron and Optimus at the end of it because you had the bit with the Megatron drop
Yes.
the Decepticon symbol. So I think we'll have some form of that. The D16 voice is not Megatron, but interestingly, when I think back to the IDW comics where they kind of really went into the past, when I was reading it, I wasn't reading it in a Megatron voice because you only get that grizzled, like Prime. Prime becomes a grizzled veteran.
Yeah.
Peter Cullen talks about that. He's not a grizzled veteran when he's a young soldier. Megatron's not a grizzled leader. He's not with through all the things that have given him the hatred. At this point, we can, I assume anyway, that he's still in a friendly and he thinks everything's good. Something will happen in this film that will lead him down that path.
Mm.
And it'll be interesting to see what that is and how that dynamic changes. It's a bit like I always liked in X-Men the dynamic between Charles and Magneto.
Hmm.
I loved that dynamic as a
Yeah.
kid. I loved it in the books. I loved it in the original cartoon. I thought they delivered that really well, and I think we'll see more of that. We've seen a bit of that in some of the more recent iterations, but I think that'll be a big part because my gut tells me this is not just a one and done.
No,
You're
no.
not setting us up as a one and done. You're setting us up as a new franchise, like your Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse did, like Super Mario did. They are looking and going, we are going to try and milk this and get 2 or 3 films out. They'll have
Oh,
them signed
yeah.
up for it. So this is a story that can lead into 2 or 3 films easily. Let's not do a Michael Bay 7 films, 8 films, 9 films, 10 films, and just keep milking anything and everything. But they could easily do 2 or 3 stories. This is the start of it. Then you've got a bit of the war, and then you've got an Earth. There's 3 stories there, easily set out.
At least, at least. Yeah, the story is there. There's a lot of stuff that obviously we're expecting to happen. And we know from all the different various iterations that, Prime and Megatron started off as friends, or at least on a, as you say,
Yeah,
like Magneto and Professor X, they were on a similar trajectory, but then they diverged uh, drastically. And it's going to be interesting to see that play out. It's good that they're not brothers, or
no,
it doesn't seem
agreed.
that they're brothers. And it would be interesting to know. So, the Transformers as a race, if everybody has to be worthy of transforming, or is it only the people who are under the ground, the
Yeah,
minor cast that don't
it could be.
have their
It could be.
transformers?
It could be that class to become the next class has to earn it. It
Yeah,
could be
but
that they're the worker class, and you have to earn the right to become a full fledged transformer.
yeah,
It'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to how they talk about it because you look at some of the other characters that we saw through it, who I expect will have transformations, and it's like, what did they? Are we going to see how they got that?
yeah.
I don't think so. I think it'll be a case of they'll be the only ones we'll see get the spark, and they'll explain why they have to get a spark, or that they're only worker drones, and they're not real transformers. But if to become a transformer, I don't know, you have to find the Holy Grail.
Yeah, yeah. I don't see every single transformer on Cybertron having to hunt down Alpha Trion and then be deemed worthy of being given a spark. That would be weird. Good to see Alpha Trion,
Mhm.
albeit quite different. He's always different. Every time he's
Yeah,
in it,
yes.
he looks more or less the same, but sort of voice actor wise, he's always very different from the last iteration. I think he was George Takei in Prime, and now he's Lawrence
Mm.
Fishburne. But that's fine. Um, but yeah, so let's have a quick chat about what things we saw in there. What Transformers nods, which things, which Easter eggs did we have? So characters other than the main four, who did we see?
Oh, the one that I had to get a screen grab of to see was exciting, but the one that popped out the screen whether it be Arachnid or Black Arachnia, I popped big stare at that. I was like, oh, so Beast Wars is now G1. Yes.
Well, I mean, yeah, I took her to be arachnid, arachnid
I agree.
rather
I think
than
it was more
black.
Arachnid.
Yeah, also on the pauses I've seen, the legs look more sort of helicoptery. They've got a circly thing on the
Yeah.
back of them. So either way, still good. But there are a couple of other Prime related nods in there because there's a bunch of Veercons.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
Veercon's looking very much like good old Steve, with the white flake plate and the gangly arms and everything else. So, yeah, it does seem to have some Transformers Prime nods, which is never a bad thing in my book. What else did we have?
We had my youngest liked the it looked like kind of robot bunnies when they were out in the kind of open bit, and it
Yeah.
was almost like they have robotic wildlife. I don't know if we've ever had that in fiction. Just wild animals, like proper Beast Wars. I thought that was quite a funky concept, and it was uh, a very different world to what I expected from Cybertron. You're used to it being totally robotic and metallic, and yes, it was still was, but it was almost as if it was recreating Earth on Cybertron. So that'll be an interesting bit to see. The one that is obviously the most important, because Optimus Prime is not the most important character
Yes, he
in
is.
the franchise.
Yes, he is.
It's the holy trilogy of Soundwave, Shockwave, and Starscream, which was a literal blink and you miss it. I
100.
missed it. And then I checked to see Greg. Greg missed it as well. You can kind of catch Soundwave because it kind of goes like that, or it goes like that into your face. But the other two are on the sides, so I had to see a screen grab to see that. So that was me excited. I've got a new Soundwave toy and character to see. The Quintessons, which we assume, is it
Well,
Quintessons? Like
yeah. I mean,
Quintessonish?
yes, it was definitely Quintesson-esque, but also they might. I don't know. They seemed almost organic as well. That's the other thing,
Mm,
because on the surface, there was trees and stuff, which isn't
mm,
very Cybertron.
no.
So, unless they go somewhere else,
Oh, what if they're not in
potentially,
Cybertron? What if they're mining on another planet for energon?
potentially,
Because it definitely did not feel like any part. The bit where they kind of run out and then fall, that does not look like anything I would ever conceive as being part of Cybertron. So maybe they are miners on another planet. There's it's all up in the air. Trying out of
oh
two
yeah,
minutes,
yeah,
try
yeah.
and
I'm
understand
not.
how an hour and a half 2 hour film's going to work. But had definitely lots of bits that I'm like, I really can't wait to see this in the cinema to understand what is going on.
Yeah, I mean we're what 5 months, 5 6 months out from this coming out, so we're going to have another couple of trailers probably.
Yeah.
We're going to have various clips and more merchandise being
Toys,
revealed and leaked and everything
toys that
else.
will reveal stuff.
I
Yeah.
mean, stuff we had today. We had a couple of with Studio Series, um, Optimus Prime, not Orion Pax, but Optimus Prime, or was it Orion
Mhm.
Pax? But he's got the Prime head with the battle mask, so we'll see how that plays out in the film. Alpha Trion as well, who turns into some
Mhm.
kind of beast, turns into a sort of a jackal, dog, wolf. I'm guessing
Thing.
wolf. Yeah, thing. And there are a couple of masks like the ones they have for Rise of the Beasts.
Yeah.
So there's an Optimus Prime that turns into a Optimus Prime mask, and a Bumblebee one, which I think actually might be exactly the same as the one from,
Hmm.
because the design of the head was more Rise of the Beasts than the one that was, well, how B looks in Transformers One.
Yeah.
What else was there? There's some sort of like uh, simple transformation versions of Starscream, Prime, Bumblebee, and Megatron, or D16 rather. Um, but yeah, other than that, I don't think too much has been
I
revealed.
also got just when you're talking about the toys and talking about Bumblebee, it reminded me like while watching it, I got a bit of a feel of Goldbug from the way his battle mask looked.
Yeah,
Like had a very, for me anyway, had a very feel that looked a bit more metallic. So no, I think the toys will reveal stuff.
Yeah.
that's always a challenge with Transformers. Is the toys will reveal stuff that you know I expect. For example, you can kind of see, you obviously Bumblebee's alt mode. You see your little ones. You see Orion Paxies. You know, really, you only get a wee quick snippet of Megatron's just from the side, from far
Mhm.
away. But he looks like some form of tank. He looks like he's got kind of tank treads. I
Yeah.
expect that will be revealed in a toy. Like that toy will go up, so we'll know
Yeah.
that in advance. And if, that's a shame that when we don't have that going in. It's the same as like when Ghostbusters Afterlife revealed Egon's ghost because they revealed a toy. That's the bit that's in this modern world where it's all about merchandise. It'll be hard to have secrets. I'm
Yeah.
hoping there'll be stuff that we'll go in and not know about and we'll have the fun of, because that is the same as getting into this today. Like, as much as we saw the Optimus, we didn't really know anything else. We knew a rough synopsis of it, and what we expected, but a lot of it was just a surprise. Like, and that was fun watching a trailer. Whereas I want that fun in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I completely agree. Right. I think that's pretty much covered most things. I could probably talk about. Well, watched a 2.5 minute trailer and have already managed to talk for over half an hour about it. That's plenty for us for today, I think. There'll be more reveals of Transformers 1 as it goes, and we will obviously be back for our usual videos on Sunday for our rolling out and other things along the way as well. So like and subscribe, and we will see you very soon. Thanks for watching.
Bye.